Beneath the endless runways of Denver, people whisper of a maze hidden deep in the dark. A place that holds not only machines, but also things no one dares to name. Above the ground, in the cold wind of the Colorado plains, a massive blue horse with burning red eyes stands silent, watching, as if guarding a secret that even time cannot touch. This is Denver International Airport, opened in 1995, and for nearly 3 decades, it has never been ordinary, because beneath the concrete, beneath the strange symbols, lies a story of obsession, of belief, and of things people only dare to whisper about in the night. And tonight, we will listen to that story. In the late 1980s, as America was finding its footing after the oil crisis, the capital of Colorado began to dream a dream larger than itself. Stapleton Airport, once a point of pride, had become overcrowded. Runways built for a few hundred flights a day were now struggling under thousands of takeoffs and landings. People living nearby complained about the endless noise. Airlines said there was no room left to grow. Denver's leaders realized they needed more than just a bigger airport. They needed a symbol, something that would represent the future and the rebirth of the American West. No one knew then that this decision, meant only to replace an old airport, would open decades of questions and speculation that never really went away. The idea of a completely new airport was presented as a bold vision, a plan to make Denver the aviation crossroads of America, the meeting point of East and West, of North and South. Many doubted it, but the city believed that if Denver wanted to step into the future, it needed a gateway of its own, a door to the world. And so the project began. Denver International Airport. DIE. Blueprints stretched across long tables. Engineers traced the lines of what they called the airport of the next century. The site lay to the northeast of the city, a vast open plain of grass and wind. No buildings, no major roads, just emptiness. To some, it was a reckless choice. To Denver, it was an opportunity, a space with no limits, big enough to hold a dream. When the decision was announced, the city was divided. Some believed, others laughed. But either way, Denver had begun its longest journey. To build an airport in the middle of a field, where the first witnesses would be the wind and the dust. When the first plans were revealed, people were stunned. The project would cover more than 53 square miles, the largest in the United States, several times the size of Manhattan Island. At that scale, DIA was not just an airport. It was a city unto itself. Inside the plans were runways, terminals, maintenance centers, fuel depots, control towers, and an underground system designed to run 24 hours a day. Architects called it a closed ecosystem, a living machine for a new era. But sometimes, the more perfect the machine, the more space it leaves for imagination. A space Denver has never quite filled. The most striking part of the design was the roof of the main terminal. Dozens of steel masts rose upward, holding a white fiberglass fabric coated with Teflon, shaped like the peaks of the Rocky Mountains to the west. In daylight, the sun made the roof glow like a giant snowfield floating above the plains. At night, light from inside turned it soft and dreamlike, part mountain, part tent of the native people who once lived on this land. No one imagined that this beauty would one day become part of Denver's mystery. Beneath that beauty was ambition, a hidden world of technology built for the future. Below the airport, an automated train line, the AGTS, connected the terminals. It began running the day the airport opened and was considered a marvel of its time. Silent trains glided through bright tunnels, carrying the rhythm of an airport built never to rest. Every runway and terminal was engineered to survive the harsh climate of the high plains. Winter blizzards, summer winds. All systems were tested to ensure that DIA could operate throughout the year. Yet its size and cost made some people uneasy. Many in Denver said it was too large, too deep, too much for what the city really needed. But to its leaders, this was never just about transportation. It was a declaration that Denver belonged among the great cities of America, a statement of faith that the West could still write its own story. Flights continued to rise and fall. The light still glowed beneath the white canopy, and as long as the wind keeps moving across that roof, the story continues. Quiet, enduring, like the steady breath of Denver at the heart of America. The project began with praise and high hopes, but as construction went deeper, the dream began to feel heavier. Denver International Airport was meant to be completed in 5 years, yet time quickly slipped away. The opening date was repeatedly delayed. People began to ask why something that was supposed to be just an airport could take so many years to finish. Costs kept rising. From a modest estimate, the total budget grew to more than $2 billion over its projection, an enormous sum for the city at that time. Every month, millions more were spent on materials, labor, and the development of complex new systems. On the front pages of newspapers, one phrase began to appear over and over again: delayed project. And each time people looked toward the northeast, where the crane stood motionless in the wind, they felt a mix of waiting and doubt. Officials insisted everything was still under control. They said the delays were expected for a project of such scale. But when the numbers grew beyond belief, those explanations no longer felt convincing. Between the technical reports and the blueprints, something else began to take shape. A silence that no one could explain. Because once people start to doubt, even silence begins to make a sound. And from that moment, Denver was no longer just building an airport. It was building a legend. When the work was finally done, all eyes turned to opening day, February 28, 1995. The first plane stood ready on the new runways, carrying the hope that the long wait was finally over. But only hours later, the first problem appeared. And this time, it could not be hidden. The automated baggage system, a technological masterpiece that had been celebrated for years, suddenly failed. The massive conveyor belt stopped mid-operation. Hundreds of suitcases sat stranded under the bright white lights, as if the machine itself had turned against its makers. Reporters rushed in. The cameras rolled. Within days, images of the chaos spread across the entire country. Engineers tried everything to fix it, but the problem seemed beyond repair. The system that was supposed to replace hundreds of workers became the reason the airport had to delay its grand opening once again. For many, it was no longer a simple malfunction. It was a symbol of something more profound, a project too ambitious, too costly, and perhaps hiding something no one dared to say out loud. Newspapers began printing cold headlines. $2 billion, and the luggage still doesn't arrive. In the months that followed, one question lingered quietly. What had caused this project to lose control? Some blamed the technology. Some blamed the scale. But for Denver, those answers were never enough. The open fields were now covered in concrete, but in the minds of the people, that land still held something more than they were told. And when whispers began to spread, that maybe something else lay beneath those runways, no one could deny what was already true. The story of Denver International Airport had begun, quietly, like the wind that still moves across its white roof. The unanswered questions about the cost and the lengthy construction period at Denver International Airport soon opened a new path of speculation. People began to look toward the northeastern plains with a different sense of anticipation, as if beneath that vast stretch of white concrete, something was breathing, slow, steady, and hidden. Then the first whispers began to spread. In coffee shops, across small newspapers, in conversations that stretched long into the night. They said that beneath the airport lay another world, a network of tunnels running for miles, layer upon layer where light never reached. Some called it the arteries of the elite, a secret refuge built by the government or by a hidden organization, waiting for the end of the world. No one had seen it, but the story spread faster than any plane leaving Denver. Some claimed they had worked underground, having seen doors that led deeper than the technical floors. Others said they had heard the hum of machines in the night, echoing from the earth like the breath of a giant engine. And the question kept returning. If this is only an airport, why does it need tunnels that stretch for miles? Soon rumors grew louder. Some reports claimed that the tunnels extended far beyond the airport, all the way to NORAD, the military base buried deep inside Cheyenne Mountain, nearly 100 miles away. NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, was built to survive even a nuclear blast. The idea that Denver's airport might be secretly connected to it ignited the imagination of an entire nation. People spoke of vast tunnels wide enough for trucks, of secret passages built for evacuations, for moving supplies and influential people during times of crisis. And somewhere in Denver's collective memory, these stories merged into mist. stories everyone had heard, but no one had ever truly seen. The more people repeated them, the larger they grew. Like all legends, they fed not on proof but on imagination. Then one day, rumor met reality. When the question, "Are there tunnels under the airport?" became too big to ignore, Denver International Airport finally spoke, and lights were turned on beneath the ground that everyone had feared for so long. Yes, there were tunnels, but not the kind people imagined. According to official reports, the underground system was built only for logistics, to move baggage and cargo between terminals, technical areas, and maintenance facilities. Less than 2 miles long, circling the central part of the airport. To the engineers, they were simply the arteries of the airport, electric carts carrying luggage, workers checking pipes, cables, and systems that keep everything running smoothly. Those who had been down there described it the same way. Cold, wide, the air filled with the hum of ventilation, the sound of wheels rolling across metal floors, fluorescent lights reflecting off grey concrete, creating a hollow, colourless space. And maybe that emptiness, that eerie silence, was what made the idea of an underground city so easy to believe. Diaz's management explained clearly, there are no hidden rooms, no secret bunkers, no passage to NORAD. Engineers added that such a tunnel would be impossible. Between Denver and Colorado Springs lies a stretch of solid mountain rock. It would take decades and a nation's budget to dig through it. Still, not everyone believed them, because truth rarely feels as exciting as mystery. And sometimes, denial only makes curiosity grow stronger. Blurry photos taken in the tunnels, whispers from former workers, old newspaper clippings from the 90s, all came together to build a vault of rumors that no one could ever confirm. Some said extra levels were built and sealed off during construction. And so, between fact and fiction, the story lived on, as if Denver had built not only an airport, but a legend. Years later, when renovation work began, the rumors rose again. Some claimed the construction had reopened old passageways, doors once hidden in the dark. But the official explanation was simple. The tunnels now serve two purposes: drainage and de-icing. Pipes and channels are designed to keep the runways dry during winter, to prevent ice from forming on the surface. No record, technical or administrative, has ever mentioned a secret bunker. Journalists who visited the maintenance areas confirmed this as well. Beneath Denver International Airport are only narrow corridors, electric lines, air ducts, and the rhythmic sound of conveyor belts. No stairways lead deeper, no tunnels stretching beyond, only cold air and the steady pulse of machinery, the quiet heartbeat of a giant body beneath the earth. Perhaps what truly lies below isn't as frightening as what people believe is there. Since the airport statement, many have tried to end the myths. But like the tunnels themselves, the story continues, not made of concrete, but of imagination. Because maybe every great structure has two realities, one built by engineering and one built by belief. For 30 years, Denver International Airport has stood as both an airport and a mirror, reflecting the way people look into darkness and see themselves. In the main hall of Denver International Airport, there is a single black granite plaque. To most travelers, it looks ordinary. A dedication stone engraved with the names of those who built the airport and the emblem of the city of Denver. But for those who love mysteries, that plaque marks the beginning of one of the most talked about legends in America. Because on that smooth, silent surface, there are two details that make everyone stop. The first is the symbol of the Freemasons. The compass and the square, crossing at the center, with the letter G engraved inside. The second is the phrase New World Airport Commission, the name of an organization no one has ever heard of. From that moment, the plaque was no longer just stone. It became a mirror, reflecting every theory people brought to it. Visitors lean close, reading the words again and again, as if searching for a hidden code. To them, the connection between Freemason and New World could not be a coincidence. Freemasonry, an ancient brotherhood surrounded by stories of power and secrecy, and New World, evoking the idea of a new world order. The secret system is said to control governments and banks across the globe. And so, what was meant to be a dedication became something else. The center of whispers about a hidden world order beneath Denver's runways. People began to ask, who is the New World Airport Commission? Why is it written here? Magazines, newspapers, and early internet forums began weaving their theories. Some believed it was a network of the world's elite, building an underground refuge for the rebirth of humanity. Others said it was a message from the Freemasons, proof that their power still stood right beneath the open sky. Writers analyzed every detail: the position of the plaque, the way the light fell across it, even the spacing of the letters, claiming hidden meaning in every line. From one small stone, Denver International Airport became a focus of endless questions. When local reporters began to investigate, they discovered that the New World Airport Commission had never legally existed. No records, no address, no listed members. All that remained were a few faded photographs from the 1995 opening ceremony, when the plaque was unveiled beneath blue cloth beside a small group called the New World Airport Commission. Some said it was nothing more than a play on words, a slogan meaning the airport of the New World, symbolizing Denver's step into modern aviation. But once a rumor takes root, logic can no longer stop curiosity. And then something unexpected happened. Instead of denying the stories, the airport smiled. That smile changed everything. The management began to play along with the legends themselves. In renovation zones, they hung bright blue signs that read, "It takes really big drills to get to the underworld." Tourists stopped to take pictures, laughing as they shared them online. What once fueled suspicion became part of Denver's identity, a story the city now told about itself. Not long after, the airport opened an exhibition called Conspiracy Theories Uncovered. Inside were photographs of the Freemason plaque, models of tunnels, the Blue Mustang statue, and the murals of Leo Tanguma. Each corner carried a quiet caption. "Yes, we know you've heard this story before." The exhibition didn't argue. It didn't deny. It simply smiled. And within that smile, the mystery grew again. That approach made Denver International Airport one of the most talked about airports in the world. A place where mystery wasn't erased, but transformed into culture. Instead of arguing, they told stories. Instead of denying, they invited people to wonder. And in a noisy modern world, that turned out to be a clever choice. Because the more people spoke of the secrets of DIA, the more unforgettable the place became. Yet what keeps Denver alive in people's imagination isn't just the words on the plaque or the clever signs on the walls. It's the feeling that, even among all the reasonable explanations, something remains unsaid. Dust resting gently on the black stone, light moving across it like a passing memory, footsteps echoing nearby. Together, they form a rhythm, quiet, uncertain, somewhere between real and unreal. Because sometimes, mystery doesn't hide in darkness. It hides in the light we see every day. And when that light touches the stone, we understand. If below the ground are the machines that keep the city alive, then above it lives something else. A being made of steel, of light, and of silence. A being that watches, not built by engineering, but by emotion, by memory, and by the human need to ask why. Perhaps the mystery of Denver International Airport was never buried beneath the earth. Perhaps it has always been there, shining quietly on the surface, waiting for us to look a little longer. When the morning light pours through the curved glass walls of Denver International Airport, something appears far across the plain. A cobalt blue figure standing tall against the emptiness, as if waiting for something that has not yet arrived. That is Blue Mustang, the most famous and the most infamous sculpture of Denver's airport. To travelers, it's just a strange piece of art. But to the people who live here, it's a symbol forever tied to the mysteries that have surrounded this land for more than 30 years. The Blue Mustang was commissioned around 1992 and created by artist Luis Jimenez. Jimenez, a Mexican-American sculptor, was known for works filled with the untamed energy of the American West. Bold lines, bright colors, and a spirit that refused to yield. He wanted this sculpture to capture the image of the wild horses that once ran across the Colorado plains, a symbol of freedom, of wind, and of a land that never bowed to anything. But the story of the artwork took a tragic turn. In his studio in New Mexico, as Jimenez and his assistants were finishing the final details, a terrible accident happened. June 13, 2006, a section of the statue, weighing hundreds of kilograms, fell and struck his leg. The impact severed an artery. Before he could reach the hospital, Luis Jimenez was gone, beneath the very work he had devoted his life to creating. From that moment, Blue Mustang was no longer just a statue. It became a reminder that sometimes art comes at the cost of a life. News spread across the country. People said the sculpture had taken the life of its own creator, that the glowing red eyes were his spirit still watching. But to his family, Blue Mustang was the unfinished dream of a lifetime. They chose to complete it, not to end the story, but to honor it. 2 years later, on February 11th, 2008, the statue was finally installed at the entrance to Denver International Airport. When it appeared, the whole city paused. Over 9 meters tall and weighing more than 4 tons, it reared back as if galloping into the wind. Its mane swept backward. Its muscles are tense and alive with power. But what no one could look away from were the eyes. 2 glowing red lights, burning both day and night. In the dark, they seemed to watch the highway, following every passing car. It was beautiful and unsettling. Soon the nickname was born, Blucifer, the blue horse of the devil. People whispered. Some said the red light was the soul of Jimenez. Others said it symbolized death or rage turned to stone. Some travelers even chose longer routes just to avoid its gaze. Photos spread online, and so did the questions. Why blue? Why red eyes? And what might be hidden inside? But to Denver International Airport, Blue Mustang was never a curse. It was the spirit of the West, wild, fierce, and proud. In a statement, the airport called it a tribute to the artist who turned tragedy into a symbol, a creature of steel and light, standing in the wind, unbroken. Blue Mustang lives in 2 worlds. To the public, it is Blucifer, the horse with a soul. To Denver, it is Luis, the legacy of a man who breathed life into metal. From every angle, it stops people in their tracks, because somehow it feels alive, as if it's breathing, as if it's watching. But Denver holds more than Blucifer. Inside the terminal, another world of symbols speaks quietly through color and form. Along the long corridors, artist Leo Tanguma painted a series of massive murals, works both admired and misunderstood. They burst with color. Children hugging among ruins, doves falling through smoke, soldiers wearing gas masks, and finally, a scene of rebirth. Children of every race planting trees under a clear blue sky. Tanguma said it was a journey from war to peace, from death to hope, a prayer for humanity. But in Denver, even the walls seem to whisper, and every painting speaks with 2 voices. One from the artist, and one from the people who look upon it. Because sometimes, what we call art is also a reflection of our fears. Many began to say the murals were prophecies, that the soldiers and the masks were signs of an apocalypse, that they were not memories, but warnings of a new world order. And so, the paintings meant to celebrate peace became the backdrop for endless theories. It was as if the airport itself was built to feed its own legend. Every symbol opened another door for imagination to step through. Blue Mustang, the blue horse blazing against the sky. The murals, where war dissolves into color, one made of steel, the other of paint. Together, they tell the same story about beauty, about loss, and about the strange strength of humanity when faced with the unknown. As travelers walk through the terminal, sunlight reflects against the glass, and far away, the red eyes of Blucifer glow once more. In that moment, it's hard to know where art ends and where legend begins. And when night falls and the lights rise over the blue horse's body, it feels as if the city itself is dreaming. Denver still whispers its story. A story where even steel and color know how to breathe. From above, Denver International Airport looks like a metallic flower blooming in the plains of Colorado. But for many, that shape has never felt so simple. In satellite images shared across the years, the airport's runways spread in every direction, crossing and curving slightly where they meet. And soon, to those who love searching for hidden meanings, that image began to resemble something else. The swastika. The hooked cross was once used by Nazi Germany during World War II. And just like that, another rumor took flight. People began to say that this airport held more than tunnels. It carried a secret message, that the runways were not designed for planes, but to mark power, a sign of some hidden order. Online forums are filled with diagrams and theories. People traced the runways, connected the lines, compared the angles. Some said this could not be a coincidence, that the winds were only an excuse. That Denver, right in the heart of America, had hidden a dark symbol the world had never noticed. But when asked, the engineers had a far simpler answer. The layout was made for one reason only, to meet the wind. The high plains of Colorado are known for unpredictable gusts, shifting direction by the hour. The runways were built in 4 different directions, so planes could land and take off safely, no matter how the wind moved. There was no secret message, only design, only function. But maybe people have never truly feared the dark. They fear it only when the dark begins to take shape. And so, even when the explanation was clear, the images kept circulating. Because no matter how rational the truth sounds, it can never stop people from dreaming about what might be hidden. Maybe that small thrill of discovery is what keeps the story alive. A mystery just big enough to make people feel like they're touching something larger than themselves, even if it's only through a glowing screen. Denver International Airport seems to understand that better than anyone. Instead of denying the stories, it chose to smile. In 2016, the airport launched a campaign called Embracing the Unbelievable. Instead of fighting the rumors, it turned them into part of its identity. All across the construction zones, blue signs appeared on the walls. Shh, we're just expanding the secret underground base. Another one read, upgrading the lizard people's tunnels. Please excuse the noise. Travelers laughed. They took photos. They shared them online. In the gift shops, shirts appeared with Blucifer's red eyes, the Freemason symbol, and the words, "I survived the conspiracy," all wrapped in Denver's quiet, knowing smile. A smile that understood the power of myth. The campaign became a phenomenon. People came to Denver not just to fly, but to see for themselves if the rumors were true. The media called it a strange but brilliant strategy. By embracing what once made it suspicious, the airport turned it into its charm. It stopped being the subject of rumor. It became the storyteller, a place that spoke for itself. Among thousands of airports around the world, Denver stands apart. It isn't just a place to arrive or depart. It's a living story, one that every traveler can add a piece of imagination to. Some come to photograph the white roof under the sun. Some come to see Blucifer's glowing eyes from a distance. And some come simply to ask, is that really all there is? From the runways said to form a swastika, to the Blue Horse, to Tanguma's murals inside, Denver International Airport has gone far beyond being an airport. It has become a mirror reflecting how people look at the world, through logic, through fear, through imagination. And when all the lights of the airport glow in the night, something becomes clear. The mystery was never in the concrete or the steel. It was always in the eyes that looked upon it. Maybe the thing to fear isn't the devil beneath the ground. Maybe it's our own reflection, the way we look at art and see exactly what we want to believe. As the dust of time settles over the old rumors, Denver International Airport still stands in silence, as if it had never heard a word. But if we step back, if we look again at the real facts, the blueprints, the quiet lines of technical notes, the curtain of mystery begins to lift. Not with noise, but with a breath. Soft, like wind moving across the white fabric roof. The tunnels beneath Denver, once the center of so many theories, they are, in truth, the most ordinary part of all. According to every record, every technical document, they exist for one simple reason: to move baggage, to route cargo, to handle maintenance, to drain water. They do not stretch for miles. They have no secret doors. They do not reach NORAD or any hidden base. The entire network is located within a 2-mile radius of the terminal. Concrete halls, white lights, the sound of small electric wheels rolling across steel floors. One part of it was abandoned after the automated baggage system failed in 1995, then later reused for logistics. No shelters, no secret chambers, no network of power beneath the ground. Every trace of evidence points to one truth. This is engineering, not mystery. Even the Freemason plaque, the one travelers still stop to see, was simply part of a dedication ceremony. The compass and the square were there to honor the builders, the hands that helped raise the airport. The phrase New World Airport Commission was never a code, only a local committee formed to celebrate a new era of flight. New World meant nothing more than a new age of aviation. Records show the committee dissolved after the opening ceremony, leaving no trace behind. And yet, it is that silence that made people believe there must be something more. Because in a world where everything can be explained, we still long to hold on to a little mystery. Something that reminds us we are standing before what reason cannot reach. The same misunderstanding has touched the art in Denver. Luis Jimenez and Leo Tanguma, the two artists who helped shape the soul of this place, worked with the same vision: to celebrate life, to celebrate strength, to celebrate hope and rebirth. Blue Mustang, with its red eyes, was never meant to be a creature of darkness. It was a symbol of freedom, of wild energy, of the unbroken spirit of the West. The murals of Tanguma, filled with war and peace, were not prophecies. They were on a journey through darkness toward light. But once art leaves the hands of its creator, it belongs to those who look at it. And sometimes, the mystery lives not inside the art, but inside the gaze. Because every person carries a small mirror within themselves. And when they look at art, what they reflect is not the image, but their own fear. In that way, Denver International Airport has become that mirror. From the tunnels mistaken for secret chambers, to the plaques reimagined as symbols of power, it all points to one quiet truth. We search for mystery in the ordinary, because mystery makes the world feel alive. And even when the stories have no proof, they make us feel part of something greater than ourselves. Today, engineers still walk beneath the ground. Travelers still pass the Freemason plaque. Tanguma's murals still glow under the light of the terminal. And if you stop for a moment, if you look through the glass and the color, you might see the most straightforward truth of all. Every mystery here only reflects us. It reflects curiosity. It reflects fear. And it reflects the need to believe in what we cannot yet explain. Maybe the greatest secret of Denver was never buried in the concrete, but lives within us, in the way we turn what we don't understand into what we choose to believe. From the ambitious drawings of the 1980s, when Denver still dreamed of a gateway to a new century, to the quiet tunnels lying beneath layers of concrete, and the red eyes of Blucifer still burning in the night wind. The journey of this airport has stretched across nearly 4 decades, and it has never truly fallen asleep. Every brick, every panel of glass, every mural has become a piece of a larger story. A story about how people create symbols and then let those very symbols reflect themselves. Over time, Denver International Airport has evolved into more than just a place of arrivals and departures. It feels like a shared memory, a place where doubt and curiosity and small whispers of conspiracy blend, forming a rhythm that drifts somewhere between reason and imagination. Under the sunlight of the Colorado plains, the white rooftops still rise like mountains of snow. And when night comes, light glimmers across steel, across glass, and across those glowing red eyes, as if the airport itself is still quietly watching the world around it. Everything continues to move, even when we believe it stands still. Perhaps what makes Denver truly special is not its numbers, not its engineering, but the layers of meaning people have placed upon it. Layer upon layer, like wind carrying sand, covering, then drifting away again. Engineers built it, but it has grown through the imagination of millions. Between tunnels and sculptures, between art and rumor, Denver has become a mirror, a reflection of the human spirit, both believing and doubting, both logical and dreaming. Because in the end, the mystery isn't underground. It isn't carved in stone. The mystery has always lived in our own gaze, in that place where what we cannot yet explain can still become a legend. And maybe that is why Denver has never lost its quiet allure. Even as time moves forward, Even as explanations are written and accepted, there will always be someone, somewhere in the stillness of night, who will look up and wonder if there is still something we haven't seen. And when the journey comes to its end, when every sound has faded, only the soft breath of the wind remains. Thank you for walking with me through these corridors of memory, through footsteps that echo off the walls, through the wind that drifts across the plains, through the gaze of Blucifer and the colors that never fade on Tanguma's walls, until we meet again on another quiet night, when the city once more falls into stillness, when the world grows silent and we can finally hear what so few ever notice, the quiet breath of the city itself.